By education, I am a theater director. I have worked in several countries, staged plays, and sometimes organized large-scale shows. So what I saw on Tuesday evening was a brilliantly staged large-scale show. But most importantly, the people who watched it realized that what Trump is doing has, first, common sense, and second, undeniable benefits for the American people. And what isn't there, you might ask? There's no racism, no sexism, I don't know, no zombophobia, whatever else there is. No homophobia, no Islamophobia, and no Ukrainophobia either. None at all. It's simply an attempt to bring our crazy world back to real life, out of some kind of utopian, insane fantasy. Yes, to what each of us wants, a fair, just, moral society that we would actually want to live in. How did he manage to do it, you might ask? Okay, judge for yourself. A poll of viewers before Trump's speech showed that 54% believe the country is moving in the right direction. These are people who wanted to listen to the president, meaning they're not exactly ordinary, so to speak. They're not vagrants or drifters, and they're not the kind of people who aren't interested in anything at all. After the president's speech, another poll was conducted, and the results stunned everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a lot of interesting things to tell you today.
Before the speech, 54% of viewers said that his policies would lead the U.S. in the right direction. After the speech, this figure increased by 10 percentage points.
10% more viewers said, yes, now I understand. I just didn't understand before. It's that, well, what Trump is doing is good for me, good for my country. These were people whose heads were, well, pretty much messed up by the press. Yeah, that Trump is a monster, that he's a fascist, a murderer, I don't know, a hater of mankind, Satan. And most importantly, and the scariest thing, he gets in the way of their stealing. They didn't talk about that, but that's the underlying theme that always runs like a common thread. He's guilty because we want to steal, and he won't let us. It's like in that fable, you're guilty simply because I want to eat. Yes, Trump caught the Democratic Party off guard, and in the eyes of the people, he showed what they really are. He asked, who thinks that the representatives, of the people of whom? Here are the elected people. Our main task is elected by whom? By the people, yes, so to speak, representatives of the people, elected. Our main task is to protect and help the citizens of the United States, not illegal immigrants in other countries, let's say. Yes, well, the Republicans stood up as one and applauded, naturally, in support. And here the audience saw that not a single Democrat, not one of the Democrats, even moved. By the way, about Fetterman, I don't know. I didn't see, maybe he actually stood up, I don't know. So I'll take back the not a single one, but of those I saw, not one stood up. Do you see this, folks? Trump asked America and kind of gestured with his hands like, this, do you see this? Naturally, yes. Well, it seems America saw it. That's what it means. After this event, the Democrats, of course, tried to get out of this situation. This is a huge mistake by their leadership. They shouldn't have told everyone to stay silent. By the end, some even began to stand up. They're in a terrible state since the 10th or 12th question was aimed at them. Do you hate this too? Again, silence. Yes, it's like a bride showing her face before the wedding, something you absolutely shouldn't do. Well, all right, let's watch.
What did you think about the moment when the president asked the Democrats to stand up for American citizens? During that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and efforts to secure it?
I think you support standing up for American citizens' interests, but disagree with the method.
That is, you can agree that we were elected by Americans to protect and defend them, but it's completely unclear. It's like, I hired you to sweep the hallway, and you say, sweeping the hallway is important, of course, but okay, I didn't hire you for anything else. But watching the migration of birds is also important. Why do I need that, I say? I pay you a salary so the hallways are clean, not so the birds are fed. Yeah, even if you decided not just to watch them, but to feed them too, although probably that's also important. Watching birds, feeding them, it's very important. But that's not what I pay you a salary for. By the way, you stole the money for the bird feed from my own pocket. Why the hell did you do that?
And so the question always arises, how do we unite our country without trampling on others? His words contained barely veiled racist rhetoric as well as anti-immigrant statements.
We'll soon talk about the astonishing blunders of the Democratic Party. By the way, did you notice that there was no racism in Trump's question, but did you notice chauvinism and did you notice hatred toward immigrants? And there were definitely other horrors as well. Or did they make all that up again?
One of the remarkable features of the address to Congress is that it gives Americans a chance to clearly see what their representatives actually believe in. So today I'm calling on every lawmaker to join my administration in affirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support.
Trump turned to the Democrats and so far hasn't said anything racist, Islamophobic, or demeaning. But let's see what happens next.
The primary duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal immigrants.
Shame them publicly, make them stand up, but they can't.
The first duty of elected leaders is to protect the citizens of the country, not to serve illegal aliens who have slipped in without our consent. Here's something offensive. Yes, I think. Something demeaning, something like that. Well, something nasty was said to them, but I didn't hear it, and you and they went crazy. Notice that in the upper right part of the screen, are the rows with the Democrats. So all they asked was, stand up if you believe your job is to work for the benefit of the Americans who elected you and pay your salary. But they are sitting, and everyone is pretending that they are busy with something much more important. And the whole country saw this, that their representatives have absolutely no intention of representing and defending their interests. So whose interests are they defending then? Well, their own. Obviously, they are defending their own interests. That's clear to everyone. Yes, but there's also a serious possibility to suggest that they have some other interests as well. Or maybe they have a different master, a different employer. Not us, the ones who vote for them, but someone completely different. Take America, for example. Now pay attention to Trump. How long he gives the Democrats to stand up and the audience to realize, to see that the Democrats are not defending their interests.
He's destroying them right now. Look at him, just sitting there and refusing to do it. These people are just pitiful. Traitors, yes, traitors. They refuse to tolerate this. It's just terribly difficult. Expose them.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It's just absolute madness here. Oh, Nancy Pelosi, she's right here. Look.
Here she is.
These people are traitors.
Trump is waiting for the whole country to see who is for them, for our country, and who is against, and the country has seen it.
This is not a shame. You should be ashamed of yourselves, and that's exactly why I'm also calling on you to put an end to the deadly sanctuary cities.
If someone still doesn't get it, Trump added, shame on you, shame. Yes, don't forget to click the bell, ladies and gentlemen, because it's nice for us and useful for you. Or rather, it's useful for us and pleasant for you, folks. It was necessary to remind everyone that the requirement to show ID when voting is not a whim or racism, but a measure to ensure freedom, fair, and honest voting.
All voters are required to present proof of their citizenship. In order to vote, it makes sense. And no more fraudulent mail-in voting, except in cases of illness, disability, military service, or travel. Absolutely none otherwise. And it should be simple. By the way, according to polls, 89%, including Democrats, 89%. Well, that's really true.
Look at these freaks.
There's even the new communist mayor of New York. I think he's actually a good guy. I talk to him often. Bad policies, but a good guy. He just said that they want people to clean up. They want the snow to be cleaned up. But to get this job, you need to show 2 original IDs. And at the same time, they don't require an ID for the greatest privilege of all, voting in America. No, that's not right. It's not right. Both Republicans and Democrats unanimously agree with our stated policy, and Congress should come together and pass this sensible law to save the country right now. And this needs to happen before anything else does. Yes, that's absolutely right. Where is John Thune now?
For those who don't know, in New York, it's the Democrats. At City Hall, they required that everyone who comes to help clear the snow must, well, in order to get paid, present 2 documents. These are the very same documents that these Democrats say poor people can't possibly get in order to vote, even in 4 years between elections. But for some reason, to clear snow, they can get them. Don't you think that's fantastic consistency?
Why someone would be against voter ID. There's only one reason they want to cheat. There's only one reason they come up with all these excuses. They say it's racism. They make up things that really make you wonder about their imagination. They want to cheat. They've already cheated, and their policies are so bad that the only way they can get elected is by cheating. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, John. He's not holding back today.
Now we're getting to the most interesting part. The viewers at home, at work, those listening on the road, in the car, it's as clear as day to them. If you don't show your ID, it's easy to deceive. If someone is against showing ID, does that mean they're for deception? Why? Because without deception, he, she, they will lose. It's deception. It's absolutely clear to everyone. Their logic is clear. If we now allow voting with ID, then we will lose. Friends, he's not flicking the Democrats on the nose. He's steamrolling everything like a steamroller on asphalt. And what about the Democrats, you might ask? How did they react?
The way we provide indefinable techno, which I can translate, and you will perform in advance.
One person wrote on a piece of paper that black people are not monkeys and showed it to everyone.
The American dream, which has come under threat, is home ownership. Today we have Rachel Wiggins with us, a mother of 2 from Houston.
After Trump's speech, all TV and radio programs rushed to discuss and evaluate his speech. Here is CNN, and this is David Axelrod, who once led Obama's first election campaign, a very knowledgeable, understanding, and insightful person in elections and politics. Well, not someone who shares my views, yes, but very much so.
But the question is, I mean, I think he did well from their point of view for the reasons you mentioned, John. And he skillfully used the audience to kind of simulate empathy, which he lacked.
Well, and of course, you have to take a jab so that Axelrod would say the Republican actually did something at all. Okay, that means it's not even 10 out of 10. It's probably more like 12.
So we are now witnessing the stages of grief where Democrats and liberal analysts are gradually being forced to come to terms with the obvious fact that Trump's State of the Union address turned out to be a colossal political success, which is exactly what it was. It was not only perhaps his best address to Congress, but, as I said, he needed to regain the initiative from the Democrats on key issues like the economy and immigration, and he absolutely did that. But we even hear quiet doubts, rumors that maybe the Democrats did themselves no favors with their usual disgraceful antics, counter-events, and protests. To which I reply, seriously, are you saying that didn't attract ordinary Americans and remind everyone what absolute freaks your political party is?
By the way, the Democrats gathered for a post-Trump speech party where they were shown the following performance. So now get ready to experience immense aesthetic pleasure.
I was arrested 3 times by the Immigration Service ICE because of absurdity, because we were being ourselves, because I sang songs like, "Hey, Mr. Tangerine Man, save me from the dark-skinned people. I'm Aryan white and I don't belong here."
I would have arrested him too, by the way, for songs like that, but I would have arrested him just once. Why? Just once because I wouldn't have let him go. And do you think he should be arrested once and not released? Or like this, back and forth, back and forth? But still, he brought us so much enjoyment.
And then suddenly these ICE agents who are still completely green, not ready for serious work with only 2 weeks of training, pounce on me. I was arrested in Portland. I was arrested in Minneapolis twice in the last 3 weeks.
But we're told these are spontaneous protests, like, yeah, residents just came out onto their own streets, so how did you get arrested in Portland and then 2,700 kilometers away in Minneapolis, and twice at that?
But they will never be able to erase the movement. Do you understand me?
So before you ask, yes, it was real. This is real footage of the Democrats' counter-event held in response to the address to Congress, featuring real members of Congress.
That was their response to Trump. Well, tell me, how do people who come home after a hard day's work, fathers, mothers, wives, how do they react to this? Compared to this, how do the Republicans...
And the Democrats, by an overwhelming majority, are in complete agreement with the policy we have just clearly outlined. And Congress must immediately come together and pass this reasonable, life-saving bill for the whole country right now. This must happen before anything else occurs.
The contrast is the sharp, widespread increase in trust toward Trump and a sense of surprise mixed with disgust toward the Democrats. And here are the conclusions about what goals Trump set for this address to the nation. First, the people do not see or feel any economic improvement yet. The numbers are there, but in reality, people still feel uncertain about the future, just as they did before. Trump had to clearly explain to the country how his reforms would make their lives easier. In my opinion, he did that. But let's see for a few more days how the public opinion polls will turn out. Second, to bring the issue of illegal immigration back into the public consciousness now from a different angle. Initially, the goal was to prevent new arrivals, which we supposedly achieved. Now we need to deport those already here. This also became clear, but it became clear to the people. But why is this necessary for any of us? Well, let's say maybe not for every one of us. But this is especially necessary for those people who work in lower-paid jobs, let's say workers, waiters, gardeners, construction workers, citizens of the United States of America. Here's the problem with the fact that there are between 12 and 15 million illegals living in the country, well, illegal migrants as they're called. Let's start from the beginning. It doesn't matter what's more or less important. What matters is that all of this affects an American's life. As soon as millions of people enter the country, the demand for housing increases, which means that a lot of people are looking to rent a limited number of apartments, which automatically means that the cost of renting apartments goes up. The first thing is that Americans are sometimes forced to significantly overpay for housing. That's one. Second, people who, let's say, come here need to earn money, right? They can't just come here. No, they don't have, so to speak, enough money with them to feed themselves, have something to drink, and wait for something, like a visa or something. So, usually, most of them don't know English, and they don't have the right to work. Most of those who come don't know how to work with computers or any modern devices and machines. They won't be given any right to operate any machines, equipment, or anything like that, because all of that needs to be insured, and the insurance company won't insure a person who doesn't know English, doesn't have the knowledge, hasn't taken any courses or anything like that. So they don't have a license, they don't have the knowledge, and basically it's impossible to properly train them. Which means that a huge number of Americans working in the lowest paid jobs have either lost those jobs or are forced to work for much less. Why? Otherwise, no one will hire them due to strong competition, especially from illegal immigrants. Third, children came along with the adults, and they need to be placed in schools. Often this meant overcrowded classrooms and either a slowdown in the learning process because there's someone in the class who doesn't understand anything, or the need to hire new teachers, add extra hours, and so on, taking away time from these teachers that they could have spent with American children. Fourth, a huge number of people end up in medical facilities without insurance or the ability to pay for the services of doctors, nurses, pharmacists, or for medications. Basically, everything that we call the healthcare system. They don't have money for it, so either they spread the disease or they take up time and resources. Now, the fifth point. Since people come who don't always find work, some of them start engaging in criminal activity. Maybe compare it as a percentage like how many Americans do. But when you get 10, 12, 13, 15 million young men coming in, the number of crimes increases significantly, especially in big cities where there's a higher concentration of them. Sixth, let's say, among the newcomers, there are also people from cartels, gangs, and also from a number of terrorist organizations. We know this for sure. These people will cause harm on purpose, meaning their goal is to do as much damage as possible. I think that's enough. Although there are still problems and drawbacks that arise with the arrival of such a huge number of uneducated people who don't understand American principles and values. You know, when a small number of immigrants arrived, they assimilated pretty quickly. Basically, so to speak, what our rules of the game are and so on. When a lot of them arrive, they stay, keep to themselves, and they don't mix in anyway. Not at all. For example, I know a legal immigrant who's lived here for 27 years cleaning houses. And what do you think? How can I communicate with her? Thank God she has a phone, she says, or writes something into it. It translates it into English and shows me, then I do something. Fortunately, she knows what to do better than we do, so we don't really talk to her much. When we need to say something, we communicate this way. Why, she doesn't need it. Why? She already has everything. She lives where 1.5 million Spanish-speaking people live. Next task. Through the stories of ordinary Americans. I'm talking about Trump's goals to show how his administration's policies bring real benefits and advantages to ordinary people, not the elites. And probably also to explain to the people that America doesn't want to get involved in a new Afghanistan, Iraq, or Vietnam, and it will use its power to force its opponents to act reasonably, but it won't get involved in long-term wars. We, as Trump says, finish wars, not start them. This is a MAGA promise not to drag the country into overseas schemes, and in what Trump said, it wasn't exactly a point. No, let me explain now. He scattered throughout his entire report, conversation, and message the need for anti-corruption. I don't know what to say, the organization of some kind of anti-corruption department or just anti-corruption activities, so that someone would definitely do this, so that it wouldn't be done in each separate ministry and so on, but so that someone would oversee all types of what is called corruption. But the hint was clear. The Democratic Party, thieves and swindlers, they don't care about us. They'll support anyone except us. And we will crack down on them, but if we catch someone from the Republicans, we'll crack down on them too. And at the head of the committee, because a special committee to fight corruption will be organized, Vice President J.D. Vance will be put in charge. So all foreign affairs will be handled by Rubio and all pre-election and internal matters by Vance. Here's what voters think about this.
The part of the speech that will probably be remembered by most Republicans is when he addressed Congress with the question, "Stand up if you believe your duty is first and foremost to American citizens, not to illegal immigrants." The Republicans stood up. That earned him the longest applause of the evening. I suspect, man, you'll see this in a lot of campaign ads, that the Democrats didn't stand up. What do you all think about this showmanship or this kind of performance when they tried to get the Democrats to stand up for it?
Well, I think the point, it seems to me it might have gotten a little lost because of all that showmanship, but I think his point is valid.
Everyone in this room represents the citizens of this country. And you do your job, he should, the governor asks, Trump does his job, Trump asks, you all do your job.
But here's what the Democratic Party leadership, accused of fraud and forgery, is trying to say, I would say trying to sell or push.
There was a moment, Madam Speaker, where he specifically mentioned you, of course, regarding stock trading in Congress. What would you say to him about that?
I would answer him, as my colleague said, look at yourself. He wants to imply that there was something wrong with it, but that's not the case. And if there were, someone would have been held accountable for it. We have been trying to pass this law for a long time. Now it has more support than before. And
When Elizabeth Warren stood up and applauded tonight when the president talked about it.
Well,
we all did that.
Me too, Nancy. With those 400 million, buy a better denture adhesive. Your teeth are about to fall out, I suppose. How much does denture adhesive cost at CVS now? We're really checking today. I think you can buy denture adhesive you could get a really strong, extra strength denture adhesive for $12. Lady, you have 400 million. What's interesting is she pretends she has nothing to do with it. And we all approve of it and all that. You can just throw it in here. There are a lot of cases like this. There are Twitter accounts and Facebook pages and other similar things where they just track the deals. Nancy Pelosi. And this woman, according to this, her net worth is $576 million. Look, her net worth changed while she was in Congress. She made $465 million. I need to fire my guys from UBS. What are they even doing there? Sorry, we'll love you. That's a jump of 384.3%. She made 200 trades. Just look at this. Her win rate is 81%. And you can see on the right how much she's trading above the market. So again, it's about dentures. $12. Lady, what's that called? Money. Denture grip, as they call it, is a soft adhesive that solves most of your problems.
The president's speech was kind of the final blow in preparing for a broad offensive on many fronts. To prosecute those who, while in Congress or the Senate, used their position to profit. To prosecute those elected officials who participated or stood by while the country was being robbed. This refers to all sorts of people, Somalis, Afghans, Haitians, and even our own people too. The open fight against the ideology of socialism, which has been adopted by the Democratic Party of the United States today, specifically an open fight, armed with this speech and materials from Tulsi Gabbard, Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel, members of Congress will now disperse across the country. They will promote all these ideas from the speech to the public, explain, prove, and tell the people that Trump's reforms are leading the country to an improvement in the quality of life from every point of view. From this moment until the elections in early November, it's attack, attack, attack on all fronts. Against corruption, against pandering to thieves, against budget embezzlement, against the transfer of money, and so on. Attack those who tried to stop Trump and the Republicans from returning to the White House through lies, forgery, and deception, and by all illegal means imaginable, including attempted murder. Now, gentlemen, the countdown has begun. There were 252 days from the day of the report until November 3rd, and as of today, there are already 250 days left. And by July 4th, I think, by the 250th anniversary of Independence Day, I will make another announcement, another report. I think it will be very solemn, very significant. But what interests me, I think that in this report he will present the first clear results of cleansing from filth. The world-famous Polymarket is a website where there is a constant evaluation of future events. People place bets on likely future events within the next 3 days. Will the U.S. attack Guatemala or not? Some people lose, some people win. Polymarket gives a 10% probability of war before the end of February and a 50% probability of war before the end of spring, that is, in the middle or end of March. It seems they consider these kinds of sites, with Polymarket just being the most well-known, but there are several others. They predict better than public opinion polls, and politicians keep a close eye on them. Here, people vote with their dollars, not with words. So everything happens not because of ideology, but really, what do I think about this? By the way, I always keep an eye on the Polymarket results. And maybe someday I'll get around to playing just out of pure curiosity. Gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. It's good for us for the channel, and you'll get notifications like clockwork. It's sometimes important to receive notifications about our latest videos on time, right as the event happens. I'll wrap up here. From my point of view, the results of the speech are very interesting. And most importantly, I realize that this is, as they say, a call to move forward. Here's the plan for the fight. Onward until our next meeting.